Hello everyone, welcome back to Isadora. It's really good to be back. Hope you're having a good week. So today I have a question, and here's my question. When a woman gets married, who is she obligated to submit to? Is it her spouse or to God? Now, it's not religious based, right? So you can apply it to your life as it fits. So you can either say to God, to Allah, to the universe, depending on your practice. Do you understand? So, but who is she obligated to submit to? Let me break it down. Say like a woman has I'm going to use the Christian religion for instance. Like I said, apply it to your life as it fits. So let's say a woman has an obligation to be at her place of worship at maybe in church at 8 o'clock. Maybe she's in a choir. Now her spouse gets up and says to her, well, you can't go. I need you to make my breakfast. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Who is she obligated to submit to? Is it her spouse or is it to God? In my opinion, I would go by the Christian religion and say that her obligation would be to her spouse. And why do I say this? Because of leave to cleave. The Bible states that a man and a woman will leave their parents and cleave to each other, do you understand, and become one. Which means after they're married, you know, it's not the physical oneness, it's not the body, it's the soul that becomes one, right? So after they're married, they're one. So which means, do you understand? It's pretty much the same person. You're your spouse is supposed to be you. That's how it's supposed to be in the Christian religion. They're supposed to become one, which means your first obligation is to yourself, basically to your spouse, which means it's still to yourself. Do you understand? Because you two are now one. So your first obligation is to your spouse, right? Now, so if that's the case, I'm going somewhere with this. So if that's the case, don't we as women, don't we owe it to ourselves to marry well? Don't we owe it to ourselves to wait and get married to the right partner? Do you understand? Don't we owe it to ourselves to not fall under societal pressure or pressure from our parents? See, I understand where parents are coming from when they want the female child to graduate and then get married. I get that because it's a sign of good upbringing. Do you understand? If a female child gets married on time. However, a worse sign of upbringing is when the female child gets into a marriage and then she has to come out of it again. That's even worse than not being married in the first place. Do you understand? It's better to say, oh, her village people are behind her problem than, oh, she can't actually keep a home. Do you understand? That's a bit more stigma. Here's my point. Don't we owe it to ourselves as women to wait and marry the right man, to marry the right partner, to marry a good man, a man that genuinely loves you, a man that genuinely cares about you, a man that factors you into consideration, do you understand, whilst he's making his own decisions? Don't we owe it to ourselves as women? Do you understand? See, every time somebody tells me, now, when are you getting married? I just turn around and say to them, whenever it's time. Whenever it's time. If it's whenever it works for me, I'll get married. Do you understand? Because I won't let people put me under societal pressure. Because you see, one thing, I mean, there's a saying that says that the only thing worse than being single is actually being in a bad marriage. And that's so true. Because a bad relationship will take from you. If it's just taking from your pocket, it's fine. Do you understand? It will take from you physically, it will take from you emotionally, it will take from you mentally. You will be worse for wear. Do you understand? It's like, okay, you know what, let me make this very personal, right? I had a relationship once, right? A committed one, and things were so bad. Like, it was sadness and depression and everything all the time that it started to affect my health. And what do they say about a disease? It's a body that is not at ease. I ended up in a hospital. I didn't even know what was wrong with me. I mean, I had no clue what was going on with me, but I ended up in a hospital. Do you understand? And the doctors could not diagnose what it was. Sometimes I would have like really, really bad chest pain and I would scream out loud. Do you understand? So I did all the MRI, all the RIs that can possibly be done. They could not figure out what was wrong. Do you understand? And it freaked me out because they couldn't even get a diagnosis. Now, one day I got up and said, enough. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm not going to put myself through this anymore. And I walked out of it. And guess what? Within the same week, I got an all clear from the hospital. All the symptoms went away. Everything that I thought was wrong with me, there was nothing wrong. Do you understand? So really and truly, a bad a bad relationship would take from you. It would take from you physically. It would take from you spiritually. It would take from you emotionally. Do you understand? I know these days a lot of women say, oh, I just want to have money and, do you understand, and enjoy my life. But what about later in life? Do you understand? Haven't you seen people that have so much money and they don't even know what to do with it? Do you understand? They don't know what to do with it. All they're asking for at that point is happiness. It's just peace, because ultimately that's what's really important. Do you understand? So if you're marrying if you say, oh, I'm just going to marry for money, whatever, and enjoy my life, what about later in life when you've had everything, but the money doesn't mean anything anymore? Now you're craving the companionship and the love of your spouse, and it's not there. So what do you do before the right partner comes in? You wait. And how do you do this? You wait on God, you wait on Allah, you wait on the universe, whatever your practice, you wait. Why? Because, see, in most cases, before a woman gets married, most of the time you're in your earthly parents' home, right? You're in your parents' home. Do you understand? I know that in some cultures, especially the Western world, a woman, once she's 18, you can go out. But at the end of the day, once you're not married, your parents are still kind of like responsible for you, right? So it's the same as your ethereal parent, which is God, Allah, universe, whatever you practice. Do you understand? It's the same as that. Do you understand? You're still in their hands till they release you to the man that is going to marry you. So if that makes any sense, do you understand? You're still under God's, not that when you get married, you're no longer under God's protection, but once you're married, they've kind of like released you into somebody else's hands, which is why it's imperative. You owe it to yourself to marry well. Do you understand? See, a good man, if you have an obligation in your place of worship, let's say church, do you understand? He would offer to make breakfast for the kids whilst you go on time. If you're not married, he would offer to take you there. Do you understand? So that you're not late. Do you understand? A good man would want to help you achieve your goals. A good man will factor you into his decision making, if that makes any sense. You understand? So don't, like I said, we owe it to ourselves as women to wait for that one, to wait for the right one that God can release us. Because if you've already chosen wrong, then you can't go back to God and say, oh God, why did you do this to me? No, the onus is on you to choose well. Do you understand? Whenever you come back and say, oh, mommy, daddy, I found the right one. Do you understand? Oh, he's great, he's this, he's that, is that. Do you understand? Then you guys get married, they release you into that person's hands. It's the same thing as your ethereal parent. Do you understand? It's the same thing with God. He releases you into that person's hands. So whatever you find there, not that it's all left to you. I mean, you can keep praying about it, but what I'm saying is, once you're in that marriage, it's not as easy to walk away as being in a relationship, if that makes sense. So when I say wait, I'm not saying sit down and twiddle your thumbs and be waiting for, do you understand, some guy to come in. Like, if you sit around and twiddle your thumb, you're most likely going to be attracting the same kind of man. You know, a man that thinks he's doing you a favor by getting married to you. Do you understand? And those are the worst kind of men. Do you understand? Because once he thinks he's doing you a favor, you know, he won't make an effort. He won't participate in the relationship. Okay, so what to do whilst you're waiting? You start to make the most of yourself. You start to become that which you're trying to attract, if that makes any sense. So if you're saying, I want a good man, I want a hardworking man, I want a man that is loyal, I want a man that is, first you have to become that which you're trying to attract. See, this is how it works. Like attracts like, right? See, if you sit down on Instagram and go through like and check out like a fashion page, what happens is the frequency starts to send you more of those kind of content. It's frequency. Do you understand? It starts to send you more of those kind of contents, right? Do you understand? What happens is, then you start to wonder, why am I seeing all these things in fashion? Do you understand? It's because first of all, you've looked at one or two fashion pages. So it's like frequency. It starts to attract more of those kind of things to you. See, once you start to walk towards the best version of yourself, you kind of like segregate F-boys. Do you understand? All those that just want to jig it. You kind of like move them away, because you're not in the same frequency as them. Don't worry. I mean, don't be discouraged, because they may come for you, because, okay, see how it is, right? If somebody is a liar, they tend to think everybody else is a liar, right? Do you understand? That's how they would operate. If somebody is a thief, they tend to think everybody else is stealing. That's how they operate, because that's their mentality. So, I mean, initially, like when you start working on yourself, F-boys may come for you. They will come. Do you understand? They will come because, they just want to test you out, because they think every girl is easy like that. Do you understand? So don't be discouraged by that. what would mostly happen is when you turn them down, yeah, they will think, oh, what does this one think? She thinks she's better than. But as you go along, you turn them into believers. Do you understand? They start to believe you really are not on that frequency anymore. Do you understand? So don't be discouraged by that. Don't be discouraged by maybe the first few people that come your way and say, oh, I'm trying to work on myself. Why are these silly people still coming my way, or whatever it is? You understand? Don't be discouraged by that. They will come for you initially because they need to test it out, like, oh, is it true or is it not true, or whatever it is. So becoming the best version of yourself could be anything. It could be you want to further your education. Just make something of yourself. Do you understand? So that when that right person comes, you're bringing something to the table. And don't forget, like attracts like. So you have to get to the frequency where you start to attract the sort of person. Do you understand? Where you become the sort of person you want to attract. So apart from that, what else do? You follow your bliss. See, there's a saying that says, when you follow your bliss, the universe will open doors for you where there were only walls. Does that make any sense? What that means is, follow your passion. What have you always wanted to do? What would you do for free? Do you understand? Do it. Live your life. In the process of living your life, you're sending out signals to the universe that you're a happy person. Do you understand? That you're fulfilled. If a hungry person would eat anything, imagine when you're hungry, right? And you go to a restaurant to order, you tend to order a bit more than you actually need. Do you understand? So a hungry person would eat anything. A filled up person, someone that is not so hungry, then you tend to choose your meal. Do you understand? So live your life, enjoy your life, be content, be happy with who you are in life, where you are in life, and you will tend to attract somebody of the same caliber. Do you understand? Follow your bliss. Your bliss could be anything. It may be that you want to further your education. It may be that you want to learn a trade. Do that, something you're so passionate and happy about, because when you send out that happy signal to the universe, you understand, it's only going to bring back happy things into your life. Do you understand? Okay, let me go by the Bible. Like I say, I resonate with the Christian religion anyway. Love is my religion, but I practice that through the Christian faith. So anyway, in the Bible, it says, if you remember the story about Naomi and Ruth, do you understand? Naomi was the mother-in-law, Ruth was the daughter-in-law, and she had lost her husband, and Naomi said to her, like, okay, now that your husband is dead, do you understand? You can go. Just go back to your people, go back to your country, whatever it is. And she's like, no. I'm going to follow you. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. That's her following her bliss. Do you understand? She wanted to go with her mother-in-law. She wanted to be there for her. She wasn't even necessarily thinking about marriage anymore. She just wanted to be with the woman. Do you understand? That was her bliss. So in the process of following Naomi back to her hometown, one of their relatives or something, back in the days, like, relatives could marry, do you understand, each other, whatever it is. So one of the relatives, Boaz, she had gone into Boaz's farmland and was tending to the farmland. She was just living her life when this amazing, mature, wealthy, lovely man, and I call him that because one thing you would notice in that story was, there was a time her mother-in-law said to her that, like, go and sleep near him or whatever overnight. Now, what happened was, when he woke up and he saw her there, he covered her shame. He didn't want to put her to shame. He covered her. Do you understand? He even he covered her and said, okay, you know what? I don't want people to think that you're like a loose girl or whatever it is. Do you understand? You can go through here. You can go early in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Don't let people see you here. And he didn't only send her away. He sent her away with food. He sent her away with things for herself and her mother-in-law. A good man will look out for you, not tell lies on you. Do you understand? Not try to put you to shame. Even when nothing happened, they would, yeah. You only had lunch, but lunch has turned to sex somehow. Do you understand? So a good man will cover your reputation. A good man will cover you, if that makes any sense. A good man will care for you. He cared for her. Not just for her, for even her mother-in-law that wasn't even in the equation. Do you understand? Cared for her mother-in-law as well. Sent back food for herself and her mother-in-law. Do you understand? A good man will do all that. And she met this good man while she was just following her bliss. Do you understand? So follow your bliss. The universe, God, will open doors for you where there were only walls. Do you understand? Follow your bliss. Live your life. Be happy. Don't sit down twiddling your thumb and waiting for God's gift to the universe. You understand? Don't sit down and do that. In the process of you following your passion, you will meet somebody along that way that also has maybe interest in the same things. Do you understand? Or admires the fact that you follow your passion, follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors for you where there were only walls. I do love you all. Have fun. Have a beautiful week. Stay blessed. Namaste.